you doing this beautiful morning? My name is Mary Beth, and I want to talk about something really powerful this morning. How is everyone doing this beautiful morning in December? I love me some December. All right, so I said I want to talk about something really very powerful this morning. Okay, I am going to be talking about your child's future being hidden in their daily actions. If you are on this live stream right now, you can see me, you can hear me. Why don't you say hello in the comment section so that I know that I've got company? You can see me, you can hear me. Say hello to me. Oh, there's a reflection on my glasses. Let me move this a little higher. All right. So let's talk about how the daily things that your children do can actually affect their future. I titled this topic, Your Child's Future is Hidden in Their Daily Actions. All right. Now, when we think about children and the things that they learn, or when we think about children and we think about success, sometimes what we are looking at as parents is the big goals that they set, right? We're looking at big goals, we're looking at big plans, we're looking at what school they go to, right? What school can I have my child in that my child would do so well in? What Where should I, where is the track record, right? Why is the track record so good that my child will excel in? But the truth about it is that it is not about school per se or school alone. It is not about even our religious centers alone. It is not even about the big dreams that we have or they have alone. It's more about the daily actions that we take. How we build our children's future or how we build our children's success is more about the daily habits that they build. It's more about the daily actions that they take. When children come to the mastermind circle, we run a peer mentorship and accountability. I don't like this reflection on my glasses. All right. So when children come into the circle, when parents send their children to the circle for the first time, I've had a number of parents that after a while will begin to get worried that the child is not, I can see the progress. I can see, the child is not changing, and all of that. After a few months, mind you, so sometimes even after a few weeks, I always say to them, relax, right? It takes time. We are dealing with children here. Okay. And then it takes time. Now, that time is not in the length of the time, it's more of in the length of what is put into the child. It's more of the length of how the child applies themselves daily, right? So your child's success or our children's success is actually hidden in the daily things that they do, the daily habits that they form, the daily things that they practice. That is how they internalize positive habits. That is how they internalize positive behavior. Yes, it is in what they do every day. So parents came one time and said that her child would not read. Right. I think the child was about 8 years. I get this every time, but I'm talking about a particular parent, at the time. And why am I talking about this parent? It's because of how this child had a whole 360-degree flip after just 2 months. That's what happened to the child. Right. So the parents came and was like, my child does not like to read. Like, he cannot sit with a book for 2 minutes. That was how bad, his case was. He was about 8 at the time. She was really very worried. And so I said to her, can you make him read, for 5 minutes every day? I'm sure she looked at me like, what is wrong with you? I said, I can't even get him to sit, for a few minutes. How do I get him to read for 5 minutes? And then I said to her, if you can promise me that you can get the child to read for 5 minutes, then I will tell you what you can do or how you can go about having the child read for 5 minutes. And she was willing to try. And usually that's it. Are you willing to try, dear parents? What are you willing to do to change a situation? What are you really willing to do to help that child make the progress that the child deserves and that you want to see in the child? Because a lot of times as parents, we just want to complain, right? We just want to complain and not do anything about those complaints. So if we complain from today till forever and we don't make the efforts, the truth is we may not see the desired result, because now we're putting all our efforts into complaining and we're not doing anything about it. So the moment the parents said they were ready, because every time you answer the call, every time you say you are ready, what you're committing to is being an advantage to your child, right? Every time you say, I'm willing to try, every time you ask for a tool, every time you apply a strategy, what you are saying is, I understand my role in the life of this child, and I'm willing to be an advantage to the child. So the moment the parent says she's willing to read she's willing to have the child read for 5 minutes, I said to her, good. Now, this 5 minutes, you're going to be reading for about 3 minutes yourself. So you are going to start a practice with the child where you read to them for about 3 minutes, and then the child reads to you for about 2 minutes. Now, this was a child who was 8, and so it was established that the child can already read. The problem is the child didn't just like to read for any reason, not for leisure, not even their schoolwork. But then, because at this stage, at 8, they can still wing schoolwork, right? The child just needs to be in class, pay attention in class, and the child can still retain and remember some of the things that the child is taught, right? But as they grow older, there will be the need for the child to be studious. There must be a need for the child to cultivate. There must be some effort towards cultivating the habit of studying in order for the child to read, in order for the child to excel in school, right? That is important also. But reading for leisure is the most important one, right? When a child or a person is able and is willing to take a book and read, not because they need to do an exam, not because they need to sit for a test, but because they love knowledge and they want to gain knowledge. And that's where we should all be going, raising our children and helping them cultivate a love for reading, meaning the child is hungry for knowledge, the child is hungry for transformation, the child is hungry for learning. And that's where we should all be going, right? So I said to her, we started practice with this child where we read aloud and we share reading between the child and the parents. So you do this, look for an established time or look for a time that is good for you, a time where the child is active, a time where the child is, a time where the child is vibrant. The child is not that last minute before the child goes to sleep. If you're going to read anything to the child before the child goes to sleep, let it be a bedtime story that you're reading for the pleasure of, reading and sharing that moment together. But if we're in that space where you're trying to get the child to enjoy reading, right, we want to do it, all right, get him to enjoy reading and start reading because that was her challenge at the time, right? Then we need to do it at a time where the child is vibrant, the child is up, and the child can be involved in the activity and understand what the activity is about. And so we got into that space. They started doing shared reading. So every week they pick a book, right? Every week they pick a book together and mommy will read, right? They sit together in a cozy corner and mommy will read for about 3 minutes. So mommy reads and then he reads. You could even do mommy reads for 1 minute or mommy reads one paragraph, the child reads one paragraph. Now, they started that, right? They started first with reading one paragraph. So she reads one paragraph and then he listens to her. And then he reads one paragraph and then they talk about it, right? And so they started that thing. They did it for a whole week because there is power in consistency. Yes, there is power in repetition. There is power in consistency and there is great power in doing something in a way that the child enjoys. I always use this formula. I say an activity plus a sense of satisfaction is equals to motivation. So the moment the child is enjoying the activity, you can present the activity in a playful way. Play is the language of a child, isn't it? Right? Play is a child's work. So the moment as a parent, you can add some flair of fun to it. Now, for this parent, and for most of your toddlers and young children, the simple fact that you're going to do it together in a fun way is enough for the child to commit. Okay, you get your popcorn, you get your little snack, and whatever it is, or you get your little drink, and you say, okay, it's our reading time. Make it a special time between mommy and I, or daddy and you. And then we sit down to read, and boom, that works all the time. So they sit down together to this, and they started doing this every week. By the time they did this for 2 weeks, the child was already excited about it himself. The child was excited about it himself. And by the time they had done this for 2 months, this child was ready to fly. The child was ready to fly, the child was ready to go, and the child was willing to read an entire book on his own. So it became a case of, we have this book, rather than read the book for an entire week, they were finishing a book in 2 days, right? And most of the time, the child would just volunteer to read while mommy listens, right? So it is in the power. It is in the consistency. That's what we need to know. It's in the consistency, and it is in you showing up, dear parents, right? There is power in the small habits. There is a future in the hidden things. All right. There is a future in those things that you do consistently, small bits every day. That's where you get it right. Right. Now, it wasn't a miracle. Don't ever confuse, right, what you do. I'm not saying there's no miracle, there are miracles, but don't ever confuse consistency with miracle. There is just the principle that daily actions build strong future. Daily actions build for strong future. The principle that what you water will germinate. If you plant a seed and you water that seed, you plant it in a rich soil and you water the seed consistently or adequately, then of course it will bear fruits, right? So there is no miracle in the matter. God has finished with miracles for us. So God has put everything in place that we need. What we need to do is apply the principles, and voila, you will have results as soon as you apply the principles. So it wasn't magic. It was the power of seed time and harvest time. It was in the power of what you give energy will grow. It is all principle. What you give energy will grow. What seed you water will germinate, right? And of course, the small actions that you put every day will build a strong future. Now, these things are very important. So if you want to see transformation, if you want to see change, if you want to see your child move from point zero to point 100, what do you need to do? You need to introduce the things, the habits that you want your child to cultivate that will help your child reach the goal that you are trying to achieve, and build habits. Build those habits one day at a time. Very important. Habit is bigger, dear parents, than motivation. Habits is bigger than motivation. Some of us will say, oh, if you read your book, or if you finish this book, I've heard people try to use that, to get their children to read. And then you say, if you read the book, you get 10,000, you get 200 naira or something like that. You put that motivation so that the motivation becomes the reason why the child is doing that activity. I promise you, habit is much more effective than motivations like that. As a matter of fact, you can apply, whatever it is that you have to do to get the children, to read is important. But you see, motivation should be something that comes much later. You want to start with habits because habit is bigger than motivation. For instance, you start with the small habit of reading for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes, and the child reads for two. Then you move on to reading together for 5 minutes. Then you move on to reading one book in a week, to reading one book in 2 days. You get to the point where you read one book in one day. As you continue with this consistently, that's what makes the child internalize that habit, and the child can run with that habit without you micromanaging them. So much so that even when you are not around, if you have put a particular time to this, you have made this a part of your routine, you have made it a part of your child's schedule, the child is able to manage this on their own without you micromanaging them. That's why I say small habits daily is actually bigger than motivation. Now you can now get to the point where you say, okay, we read 3 books. For instance, the kids and I read 3 books every month. Now you read 3 books. If you are able to achieve your 3 books in a month, then you earn this. Now that's where motivation comes in, because you have already built the basic habits through consistency, and of course, habits, um consistently building, the right habits. Now motivation can come later. So no, don't use motivation from the beginning as a reason to get your child to do something. The child will only do it, the child will attribute that activity only to that motivation, and the day the motivation is removed, the child is done with that particular practice. So you, rather than do that, you want to cultivate a habit out of it before motivation comes in. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So that's what we're talking about. Rather than one big activity, simple, repetitive actions daily is better. Some of us will get our children, we'll get our children to go on with not doing something. We will nag about it, or we'll pretend about it, or we'll say something about it once in a while. We just quarrel, we carry our bags, and we go. And then one day you will lose it completely and you will yari for the child. You get to that point and the child gets to do it, that day. Or for some of us, it's even, oh, they clean their rooms once in a week, or once in 2 weeks, or once in 2 months. You may struggle to get your child to do that thing consistently the moment you put that. Rather than have them do it once in 2 weeks, once in a month, you want to make it something that they do small bits of it every day. I promise you it's more effective. What I do with the children when it comes to house chores, right? House chores at home. I know that they can't do everything every day, right? They can't do everything every day, like clean the entire house on a weekday that you have to go to school and all of that. So rather than say we only clean the house once in a week, I just make them do a little bit. Like on Monday, you dust. On Tuesday, you do this. On Wednesday, you do that. So you go and plan your work for the week, right? Plan how you will go about your chore for the week. So what are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? What are you doing on Wednesday? What are you doing on Thursday? So that way, the child is consistently doing something, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, rather than having them do it once in a long while. In fact, the one that is even worse is when you have them do it intermittently. Like, okay, this week you clean the window, next week the windows this week, okay, and then in 2 weeks again you clean it. The truth is, it becomes difficult to stay with that pattern, or it becomes difficult to remember, right? Because now there are intervals between. As they grow older, they can do that. But when they are young children, remember, we're always dealing with toddlers and young children here. So when they are that young, you want to make it consistent. That is why in the mastermind circle, our accountability is daily. Our accountability is daily because we understand the group of children that we're working with, right? And the need for consistency or daily practice, the need for consistent practice in order for them to build good habits around the things that we want them to do. Very important, right? Now, the trick, as I said, is consistency. So you want to hold on to it and make sure the child is practicing whatever you want them to do consistently. Now, this is why when we have our vision workshops, right? So our vision workshop is a program that we do once in a year, and it's coming up in 4 days time, right? So I started the vision workshop when our son was 10 years old, right? And his friends will gather. So that year he wanted a different kind of birthday, and so we decided to do a vision board party. That's what we called it. So it was lots of food and lots to drink, and all of that. And then of course the children had we had a vision session where we talked about their big dreams. We talked about breaking those big dreams, into smaller dreams and all of that. The children had so much fun with that vision workshop, right? So we did it. And so we did that consistently for 3 years, right? We would have a birthday. It was always around his birthday. So his birthday is on Saturday, right? So it was always around his birthday. Basically, it was something we wanted to tie to giving back, around his birthday. So we will have that. So after doing this for 3 years, we realized it was so impactful. It was so impactful because we'll have children set goals, even if they were small goals, right? But we were already pointing young children to seeing that they can actually plan something and see it through to the end. It's building executive functioning skill, the ability to start and finish the things that you start, the ability to initiate a goal, right, and see that goal through. Right. For some parents, for some children, that's how we sowed the seeds of understanding that you can start something or you can dream up something and you can apply yourself and see that thing through to the end. Right. And it was so beautiful. And so by the third year, we opened it up and we started getting other children, to join us, beyond his friends. Right. We've had a few, a few on-site vision board parties. But these days, in the last 3 years, we've been having it virtually. And that is because we want to open it up even for more children to join us. So, yes, you can be a part. You can also be a part, or your child can also be a part, both you and your child, because usually we will have a powerful parent session, usually a panel where the child and you can be a part of that session. All right. So, yes, you can have your child on board and be a part of it. It's usually a powerful session. The entire vision workshop is usually a great opportunity to get children into that space where they begin to understand self-awareness. They begin to understand the role that they play in achieving the goals that they want for themselves. They begin to see that they can actually do something about the things that they dream of. They can bring their dream to life on their own. They can ignite that dream and see that dream come to life, right? And see that dream come to pass. Imagine the kind of end. Do you know what that does, right, to the confidence of the child? I promise you, by the time that child becomes a teenager, right, starting and finishing would not be a problem. By the time the child becomes a teenager, right, inventing and swap our network. Please let me see if Trojan is on so that we can switch to that. Okay, can you see me? If you can see me and hear me, just let me know in the comments if you're here. All right, so yes. So the moment the child can see that, do you know what that does to the child's confidence, the child's sense of self-worth, and the child's sense of, accomplishment? So you know that I can put my mind to something and I can do it. I promise you, that kind of child, even when the child fails in the future. The child is not afraid to bounce back. How do you think most of our inventors that we have, most people who invented, how do you think they got there? It started with the ability to set goals and achieve them. Why do you think someone will stay on something for do it 5 times, 10 times, 100 times if they did not have a goal that they were trying to achieve? So if we can get children to that place where they can begin to understand that they can set their own goals and work towards those goals, it doesn't matter how many times you fail, just keep working at it. I promise you, every time they hit a target, every time they achieve the goal, it leaves them with something that nothing, no word, nothing that you give to them for free can do in their life as much as them setting goals, starting, finishing, and achieving those goals on their own. These are the seeds that we want to plant in these children as early as possible. This is what this vision workshop is about. Right, we've been on here talking about this vision workshop for the longest time. And yes, you want to jump in right now because we have just 4 days, only 4 days. Okay, the vision workshop is for the 15th and 16th of December. So we have 4 days before the 15th, and you can still get it at our early bird price if you jump in right now. For 5,000 naira only, you can get your child on board. What the child will go with, I promise you, will be worth 10 times that. We're going to have a finance coach who is going to be there talking about financial goals and why they are important right now. And not just that, showing you and the children the strategies that you can use to create financial goals that are effective. We're also going to have a big time academic person, an educator, right, that will be sharing how you can set academic goals with and for your children. The children can set for themselves, you can set for them and with them, and how you can go about making this effective. We are also going to be having me talk about how you can set personal goals, right? How the children can set personal goals, self-management and home management goals, right? And how they can put and lock in all of these things that will help them build themselves, the skills that they need to build themselves that will help them achieve the goals that they set in all areas of their lives. And we're not leaving it there. We're going to be giving you and the children tools, right? We're going to be giving you and the children tools, worksheets, and other tools that they can use to see themselves grow. See, there is nothing like growing and seeing yourself grow. So we have tools that will help the children monitor their own growth, see their own growth, so that they can believe in themselves. And parents, in whatever you do with these children, let that be the ultimate goal, that the child is aware enough to recognize their efforts, to see the growth that they are making, even if it means moving from just point one to point two or point A to B, right? Let the child see it. Every time the child moves from one point to the other, however small it is, it leaves them with a sense of achievement. It leaves them with a sense of self-confidence, and you don't want to take that away from the child. It doesn't matter what anybody else does for them. Even if it's 100 people doing things for them, it doesn't leave them with an iota. It doesn't leave them with a pinch of confidence compared to what the children get when they do it for themselves. This is seed time, dear parents, and you want them to be a part of this vision workshop. If you would like to register your child, we have about 100 people. We already have hundreds of people waiting. All our mastermind partners are going to be at that workshop, and then we have other people who are going to be joining us at the workshop. So you want your child to be a part of this. Give them this advantage because I don't take it away from them. Okay, so you can check in the comment section right away. After this video, and you would see the link that you need or all the details that you need to enroll your child for the vision workshop, so that your child will be a part of this transformational experience, so that your child will be a part of this skillful activity that will be equipping them, with a skill that they need today and in the future. Thank you for joining me. Oh, we made the time. I wanted to keep this locked under 30 minutes, and I think we made it. All right. If you like your child to be a part of it, the vision workshop, as I said, all of the information you need will be in the comment section. So why don't you go there, click, or use the information to join us at the vision workshop. I can't wait to have your little one. I like to call them champions. I can't wait to have your champion at the Vision Workshop. And yes, I can't wait to also have you as our guest at the Vision Workshop, because we're going to have a powerful parent session that you don't want to miss. Did I tell you we will also have our Mastermind Pros who will be sharing their experience? Our Mastermind Pros are children who were in the mastermind and have graduated from the mastermind circles. Yeah, we are building and we are raising giants. I tell you, we're raising giants in the mastermind circle. We're raising children that we can launch out, right? And we launch them to the next level where they are highly resourceful teenagers. Some of them are still a work in progress, but I promise you they're making amazing effort every day, and more than anything, they are aware of their journey. Thank you for joining me again. Have a fantastic rest of the day. And yes, if you're catching the replay or you caught the replay, let us know that you did, and let us know your takeaway from this session. All right, I can't wait to have you in class. So see you next week, Monday. Bye.